Hey everybody, we're at TerrificCon and I'm really excited. I know what? I'm really excited we have Kyle Starks here. Sir,
It's me.
how are you doing?
I'm good. I'm excited to be here. It's my first time in Connecticut.
Oh wow,
Yeah.
never been to Connecticut.
Yeah.
Wow, this is that. Okay,
Monumental.
I hope we're making a good impression.
So far, so good.
So, I read in a previous interview your quote unquote origin story.
Yeah.
That you got introduced to comics through your uncle Tony.
Yes.
No relation to the other Tony Stark.
Right.
But that's a Stark, not a Tarks.
Yes.
And one of your earlier kind of memories is that I believe like either your uncle or a family member, or you worked in a store
Yes.
that was kind of like a jack of all trades store. It was a VHS rental. It was a record store. I think they sold like porn
Yes.
and comics and whatnot.
And baseball cards and
baseball
used
cards.
books. Yeah.
Yeah. So what was that like? Do you have any favorite memories of that? And what were your favorite comics around that time?
Oh, favorite comic? That's so long. That's so long. It's 30 years ago. The whole thing was great. It was a great experience.
Mhm.
Basically, we had endless access to any media.
Mhm.
If we went to see a movie, we watched the movie. If a book came in, we wanted to read, we read the book. We read all the comics. If music came in, so like inundated with pop culture,
Right.
which I think was very formative to me now. Because it's like, well, why do you do the things? It's like, because I read everything. You know what I mean?
Right.
What were my favorite books? I'm trying, like 1994 or whatever.
Mhm.
New Warriors? I don't know. I don't
Right.
remember.
All
I
right.
don't remember. Like, we liked all of them. Like, it was different. You know, there wasn't 50 books a week back then
Mhm.
either. It was just different.
Well, I also know that you have very frequently professed your love of a Marvel character, D-Man.
Oh, yeah.
Created by the late great Mark Gruenwald, and I believe something like that.
He wrote, he did, I don't know, I don't think Mark created D-Man, but he did write the majority of D-Man.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. Sorry.
Yeah.
Sorry.
That's fact checks. I don't know if that's, he might have made it
Right,
also.
but don't cancel me.
I think
YouTube.
D-Man first appeared in the Thing miniseries, which I think was John Byrne wrote it.
Yeah.
So I don't think Byrne made him either, though. I
But
think Gruenwald
definitely did a huge chunk of it.
Yes.
So you profess that love. So the question I have is, do you feel that Marvel has handled D-Man well? And if they hit you up and was like, Kyle, we say
This
we
is hot
want you to
take.
be,
This is hot
we,
takes.
we want you to write a D-Man miniseries. Do you have like a hot take ready to go? Like,
Well,
you would drop that down like,
I-
bam.
I have written D-Man for Marvel Comics.
Okay.
In Secret Wars 2, I did a 10-page D-Man story. At the time, it was the only dedicated D-Man story in Marvel history.
Wow.
Nick Spencer did it after me. He where D-Man got his own series.
Right.
And at one point in time, there was a conversation, a very brief conversation, where I spoke to an editor and I was like, when is? And they're like, no, do you want to do D-Man? But Nick Spencer had just made D-Man gay, which I'm all for. It's
Mhm.
not a stretch for that character at all in any
Right.
way. And I believed, and I said then that I shouldn't be the first person to write that series. Like someone who is representative of that culture
Mhm.
is the one to do it. Do I have a D-Man story? I might have one. I don't want to brag. I try not to think. As you go through comics, there's always that. Oh, if you could do any character, who would it be? I don't do that, and I don't do that because I don't want to come up with a great idea that only exists for D-Man.
Right.
And I can never do it because I can't do D-Man. Right. So I don't think about what ifs. I'm in my big two era in many ways right now.
Right.
I just did Lobo. I'm doing Peacemaker. I did Marvel Pets. I'm forgetting some stuff.
Right.
And it's more of like, I want the challenge of being asked.
Okay.
So I try not to, and the thing is probably 18-year-old me working in that comic shop, I bet I had a ton of Nightcrawler ideas.
Oh, okay.
I don't remember them anymore because I'm so far removed from it. I'm just a different person.
Okay.
And that I don't think you necessarily write those properties as a fan,
Right.
but you write them for fans.
Okay.
Does that make sense?
Yeah, no, it makes
So
sense.
I would do D-Man. D-Man is one of the few things that I probably have a 4-issue miniseries.
Right.
No one would like it. Only I would like it. But I love D-Man, and D-Man would like it.
So another thing is that you yourself have said that you are you grew up being a huge action movie fan.
Yes.
And you said that the 80s action movie formula kind of like inspired, like at one point maybe inspired how you like approach projects and writing and whatnot. Is that?
It's probably true that it has infected me like some sort of virus. I like an action story. I think they should have action. I think one of the things that I'm going to suspect that I was saying when I said that is that if you look at a certain period, especially like sort of the height of Schwarzenegger films,
Right.
is that they had a little bit of everything in them.
They did.
They were sincerely hilarious at times.
Mm-hmm.
So there's a little bit of drama, a ton of action, kind of funny.
Yeah.
And if they were very good, maybe you felt something, but probably not.
Mm-hmm.
So I think in regards to how I write in 2024, like that is the thing.
Right.
But I definitely love, 30 minutes of dudes kicking each other? Yes, give me 30 minutes of dudes kicking each other.
Do you have is there a favorite action movie? Like if you had to say, like.
I mean, I'd say top 2 for me are Die Hard, Roadhouse. And then after that, it's a huge conversation.
Okay.
Commando is Commando and Die Hard 3 are maybe the perfect, generic action movie templates for different reasons.
Right.
I can do this for a very long time.
Okay.
I really like action movies.
Okay. All right. Well, we can save it if you come back on the show. We can save that conversation. So the last question I have is, when I was doing my research, I feel like I would bring up Rick and Morty.
Sure.
Briefly, because you came on and you were coming on like season 1 and 2, and you were just like, oh, I'm just going to a couple issues. You ended up writing like 48. It was like 45 is 3. Yeah. So you did a lot with your stuff, and you introduced a lot of things there. Like for me, I think it was like the Rick Illuminati, the fate of the original Prime Summer, which was just tragic as hell. And then like even the Rick Kill Squad.
Yeah, the Rick Revenge Squad.
The Rick
we
Revenge
love them.
Squad.
We love them.
That. So the question I have is one, did you ever meet Dan? And did he ever even give you a nod like you're doing okay?
So the other guy basically approved each issue, and I've met them and interacted with them a couple times. I saw Dan at San Diego, and he was above the fray. I got a head nod of recognition that I exist.
Okay.
But it was also very early. I don't believe Dan Harmon had much to do with the comics. I don't think it interested him.
Right.
The other guy approved every issue, and it was literally no notes, just ha, that's a good one, which is what we're trying to do. Like that was the whole point, was just to make more of that. So having the guy who's responsible for it be like, I like this, is great.
Okay.
It's supposed to be 5 issues. I did 48.
Yeah,
pretty good.
Yeah. So
pretty good.
So the last thing is that I was kind of torn because like some of your recent projects I've been absolutely loving, like Pea and Merrimack.
Oh, thank you.
Fantastic.
Thank you.
And I loved that. And I being a horror movie fan, I also loved your Where Monsters Lie. So I'm kind of torn because I don't know which one to ask more, because I love this idea of this detective couple solving a murder mystery that has a fun horror twist at the end.
Yeah.
And then you have Where Monsters Lie, which is, what do slashers do in between the movies? They're just, it was such a genius idea. I was like, how does nobody do this before?
I don't know.
And it was just wild. And especially the cliffhanger you left us on. I'm sorry.
For both?
Well, yes, for both. So what can you say about them? And is there more?
So Where Monsters Lie comes back October 26th with issue number 1 in comic shops. Pea and Merrimack, I don't know. I haven't heard anything, so there's no way of knowing. The artist on that book is Fran Galan.
Right.
Is my favorite artist I've ever worked with. And I hate to say that because I really do like all my artists. I'm doing another book with Steve Pugh, who I did Peacemaker with.
Right.
Peter Kowalski's coming back.
Right.
But Fran is like an artist. He's not a comic book illustrator. There's something about it. So I would love to work with Fran forever, and I think the plan is to do that.
Right.
We're for sure doing more Where Monsters Lie. Pea and Merrimack, I don't know.
Okay.
Unfortunately, sales decide everything.
Right.
And it did not sell well enough after they're like, well, let's do another one. But Boom is also slow, and they just got bought out, and so you never know what's going on.
By random house.
I love those characters.
Right.
And I like to spend time with people who love each other, who are charming and love each other.
Right.
I think it's something that we don't see represented enough in fiction or pop culture.
Right.
And I think happy marriages should be represented.
Oh, yeah, totally.
So
Not everybody should be miserable.
Yeah. And I think you want the drama of like, we want the drama. It's like, no, I really just want to worry about them.
Right.
And then I'm going to do terrible things to them to make you worry more, right?
Right.
So yeah, I don't know about Pea and Merrimack. Where Monsters Lie is coming back. I would love to do a third arc of that.
Right. We'll see.
Because I want them to go to Japan. For other Japan archetypes, very bad. Yeah. I want them to, so that would be the final one.
Right.
So I'm really hopeful that 2 does well, so we can do a volume 3.
Right. So the last question I have is just kind of, that is there a favorite horror movie? Can you answer that, or for you, or and maybe like
Dude.
at least some like one or two of your faves?
That's tough. I'll tell you, it's tough because action movies are very different too, but they're not like horror movies are. It's a
Right.
wide breadth. I'll say of recent years, I'd say my top ones are like Get Out, It Follows, and Barbarian. I think those are the three best
Nice.
horror movies of the last 15
Great
years.
choices, yeah.
All time, I'd have to think. And there's some stuff that's like adjacent, like Tremors isn't really a horror movie, but like I love Tremors.
Yeah, Tremors is great.
Tremors, it's horror adjacent.
Right. It's horror.
So yeah, those are my three modern, like my top three modern, and then there's a bunch of discussions after that.
Okay.
We love horror movies. Horror movies and action movies. What a nerd.
All right. So the last thing is just before we end
Yeah.
this, like you said, if you want to just mention anything you're working on, anything new that's coming out. I know, like again, you did the Bidenity.
Bidenity Crisis.
Which I'm sorry, Wolfman was hilarious. I thoroughly enjoyed that.
Thank you. We like
so
that.
What are you working on now? What's coming out soon? You know.
I'm only working on secret projects right now. I can't talk about.
Oh my God.
That will be announced next year. Lobo comes out September something. With Lobo One Shot. And then Where Monsters Lie comes out in October.
Okay.
And then I have a serial killer book coming out, I think, early next year.
Nice.
From Dark Horse called Those Not Afraid.
Okay.
And I feel like I'm probably forgetting something, but that's the life of a comic writer. That's the life of a comic writer.
What a life indeed. All right, well, thank you so much, Mr. Starks. Everybody stay tuned for TerrificCon. Check out, we're going to have his panel up later.
Oh, fun.
His Rick and Morty panel, so definitely be great. And stay tuned, everybody. Thank
Let's
you.
do it. Yay.
Yay.
Hey, Excelsior!